Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you to everybody for joining us today. My name is Julia Tully. I am the director of Click Community, and I have with me many members of the mentor team. We have mentors Saranya Shankar and Kelly Beezer, who are going to be hosting today. And we are talking about social media, the good, the bad, the positives, the negatives, and what you can do or what we have found helpful in making social media more of a positive experience. So our mentors will be talking, and we encourage you all to join the conversation. You can drop your questions in the chat box. You can also certainly raise your hand using the little hand raise emoji. And just so everyone is familiar with the format, this will be about a 60-minute call. It is being recorded, so if you have to step out early or you miss any part or want to rewatch, it will be available on the forum, usually within about 24 hours. It will contain closed captioning, and I do send out an email notification so that you can jump on into that thread once it's available. And I also will be sharing some helpful links to relevant content in the chat box as well. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Saranya.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so social media, I think it's one of those things which we can't live with, but we can't live without as well. So we all have, I think, a lot to say about it. So in the last couple of years, things have changed with social media. And I think, I personally have spent a lot of time thinking about it, worrying about it. Trying to let it go. And so I thought like it would be a good topic to discuss, and then like just share ideas on how everyone manages it, how if there are some tricks to not let it affect us, and still keep posting and all that. So that's why we're having today's chat. So I thought let's we can start with some of the positives of the social media. I think one of the biggest positive is that we all found each other. I think mainly because of social media, one way or the other. So yeah, there's this thing like we wouldn't have known each other without social media. So that's a positive. We get the community, and another thing is that our work gets recognized, so we really get that feeling of like joy when someone really comments, passes an earnest comment on your image, saying that how it touches them and all that. So that is another thing. And yeah, of course, we can't underestimate the amount of inspiration and motivation we get from social media. I think like seeing some amazing work there gives us ideas for our own work. But I would also like to hear from others in the mentor team about like what they think are some of the positives that they have gained personally from social media. So probably Melissa Foxman, would you like to add something to it?
Sure. Good morning. Thank you for talking about this. There's a lot of positives, and I'm glad we're starting with those. Like you said, I found people that live right down the street from me. Hi, Leah. And across the globe from me through this community. And that's as a photographer, I think a lot of times we can feel very alone. It's a solitary pursuit. We're our own boss. For the most part, especially if we take clients. So having other people that are in the same boat, that have been through some of the same issues, it can be a sounding board, it can be a great resource. To me, all those are very positive things that have come from social media.
That's wonderful. I didn't know that, Leah, and you lived on the same street. Like for me, it's just the opposite actually. So
Close,
I
we live
mean, I
close.
grew up in one country and then I moved all the way across the globe. And then because of social media and Click community through the social media, I found all of you, like, who are all in different parts of the world. Since then, I have moved countries, continents, but still these friendships have continued. So yeah, it's wonderful how we get to connect with people from different parts of the world. Yeah. Wendy, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I've met so many people on Instagram in the Click community. And then when I went to my first Click Away at Amelia Island, I got to meet those people in person. And it just, I had such a great time that trip. It was my first trip away from my kids. And it was because I got to see, everybody that I basically met on Instagram and on the forum, in person. And so I would say, like, I have mainly positives with Instagram. I mainly do Instagram, but mainly positives with Instagram and social media, especially as it's related to the photography community and the Click community. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I haven't attended a ClickAway conference organized yet, but hopefully soon I will definitely do it. Yeah, it's wonderful. I see Leah has something to share. Hi, Leah.
Hi, I'm Leah. Community is my number one, but another thing I've really loved is it gives me a reason to shoot specific things sometimes. Like if you're in a loop, being with a bunch of photographers shooting a specific theme and telling we're all going to post at the same time. Sometimes when I'm in a rut, forcing myself to join these groups really helps me kind of do something with my camera when I'm kind of feeling like and also just sometimes I mostly photograph my family, and sometimes I'm like, my kids aren't even looking at these images right now, why am I doing this? But then having a place to put the images, I feel like gives me kind of a push forward. And then of course the community that then rallies around me when I post my images, and that's
I
really
completely
helpful.
agree. Yeah, for me, that's actually I've scaled down a lot in the last 1-2 years on Instagram, and then the biggest negative for me from scaling down is that I've not been shooting as much. I mean, because I'm not into business, so if I have a business, then I think we don't like have to worry about it. We just do what we do. But then when you're a hobbyist, I think shooting and editing and posting on Instagram is a part of the workflow. And then when you take away that posting aspect from the workflow, it's kind of suddenly you're like, okay, I'm doing shooting all these images, and then I'm editing, and then what am I doing with those? And then slowly you stop shooting much. And then, so yeah, I agree that accountability, and that is a huge factor. Hi, Jenny. I see that you have something to say.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so I am in Europe. I am in Northern Europe, in Sweden, and having access to Click community and to Instagram is allowing me to hang out with people, hang out with people that I would never get to hang out with otherwise. And to my knowledge, there's nothing like Click community in where I am, and I basically don't know anyone else who is into photography like I am. So without this forum, I and Instagram and everything else, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be so alone. So for me, living where I am, it means the world. It really does.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, it's like I know many I've mentioned this in the forum many times as well. So I have moved around. So this is the fifth country, 630 in the last like 12, 13 years. So for me, it's like where I'm constantly moving. So Click community and this forum and these people, you have all been my constant, where so for me, it really means a lot too, from a different angle. So another positive, I think, is our work gets recognition because of posting on social media. Like even whether you know a person or not, sometimes you wouldn't know the person, but you would instantly recognize an image. I think that's one of the biggest positives of social media too. So does anyone here have like an experience where like someone totally like unknown to you came and like, commented something positive about your work or anything like that? So does anyone specifically want to contribute, or Dawn, do you have anything to contribute?
Just to clarify, you're asking about people, friends, or people we don't know
Complete
comment
stranger,
positively.
sometime like commenting on your work, like just that made you feel really happy that you're posting on social media and your work is getting seen, or any such incident, not just stranger, any one incident which happened because you are posting and then putting yourself out there, and it had a
Yeah,
positive impact on your work. Yeah.
yeah. I love being part of this community, and it's always wonderful to hear from friends and the people I've met on the forum and on Instagram. Such wonderful comments all the time. I sometimes am taken aback by someone who I don't hear from often or ever, and they comment something quite detailed. And I think there are a few people that watch and see posts, right? But they're not always
Yeah.
commenting. And so when I do hear from those people, it's wow, it's surprising to me that they would take the time and engage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's those ones that I didn't know that I had that effect on you, or just saying things here and there. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. So Alex, has anything like that suddenly happened to you, something very positive, and then that you'll always remember?
Oh yeah, positive and kind of weird. But last year at Clickaway, I had people come up to me like, "Oh my," and this year as well, like obviously I post a lot of self-portraits, so people know what I look like. And it always takes me back. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, hey, that's me, actually. Cool." Last year something weird. I live in Oklahoma, and so it's, who's in Oklahoma? But I had a woman come up to me in 7-Eleven. It's a gas station, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Alex. I follow your work. Like, you're so good." I was like, "Wow, thank
Wow.
you." I was with my kids, and she was like, "You're a lot skinnier in person than I thought." I was like, "Okay, well, so good to meet you." That was probably the weirdest thing, but I was like, okay, well, I'll take it, whatever. She's like, "So what do you do?" I was like, "What do you mean?" "I have kids. I don't know. I chase them around a lot." But yeah, no, it always is very, very flattering if, someone reaches out, and like what Don was saying, even just reaching out online through, DMs, like, "Hey, I appreciate you sharing, personal work. It's inspiring seeing your self portraits, and it's pushing me to go into that route and to kind of explore a little bit more of myself." So it's always, even through the challenges of social media, it definitely makes it worth it, when majority is, pretty positive. Having that positive feedback. And so yeah, even if it's not in person, just online, having people reach out and telling me like, "Thank you for posting that," because I'm kind of going through the same thing right now. So yeah.
That's true. It's happened to me once as well. I ran into someone in a restaurant, and then she was like, "Oh, you're Sharanya, I'm following your work," and all that. It was really nice. It was my celebrity moment, kind of. But yeah, Kelly, I see you have something to share.
I just wanted to add that, like we can all admit like external validation feels good.
It does, yeah.
And you can get as a positive from social media. I mean, we don't have to be dependent on it. We shouldn't be dependent upon it as artists.
Yeah.
But we can enjoy it when somebody likes what we do and recognizes what we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, take it for what it is and, you know, pat ourselves on the back and then move on to the next thing. But that's
Yeah.
definitely a positive of social media.
It is, yeah, I agree. Especially because when they recognize you because of your work without like personally knowing you, then that's like, you know, it's a totally valid recognition. You feel like, you know, your work has spoken for itself without anything. So it's really nice, yeah. And so now let's move to the negatives. I think we have a lot more negatives to share. So one of the biggest things I actually feel is I end up comparing myself with others. I mean, I'm this mom of two children. I shouldn't be comparing. I know that. I know the rational part of my brain knows all these things. But still, when you're there, just looking at the images, scrolling through Instagram mindlessly, it's hard not to like, you know, compare and then think, oh no, I mean, what am I doing? Why is my work not, you know, doing well, or, you know, not getting many likes or anything? So I've even gone ahead and then hidden all the likes, my likes and others' likes. I can't see anything. But even otherwise, you know, I mean, I don't think like everyone likes to talk about it, but then it's a very valid thing. I know at some point or the other, everyone would have felt that, you know, need to compare, or like, you know, unconsciously and subconsciously like compare themselves. So what do you do, like, you know, if you compare like that? Are there anything that steps that you take to stop yourself from that comparison negatively affecting you? Dana, do you have anything to say regarding this?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I've had to get, just in the last probably year, I don't even post to my feed very often anymore. I do a lot in stories, but I would say that I used to be affected negatively a lot more than I am now. And it's because I've created some boundaries for myself with social media. So I had to get really rooted in what social media is for me. And what it is a place to connect. It's like a small little community. The people who want to stay are going to stay, and the people who want to leave can go. And so I remind myself of that. So getting rooted in what it is, and then reminding myself what it's not for me. Just like with friendships, you know how there's different friends in our lives that are kind of for different things. And social media is not a place where I go anymore to feel good about myself. You know what I mean? With the likes or the comments. And so some of the parameters I've set up for myself, or the boundaries, are I hide all my likes. And that's for other people. Like I wouldn't care if other people saw I only got 100 likes on a picture. But it's also for myself. I never even look at likes. I don't look at, you know, how you can go in and see. I have before, but I try not to look at them anymore. And I also never check my insights. I could care less. I don't look at the best time of the day to post. I don't look at who's looking at my work. My goal when I post is to have 1 or 2 interactions in the comments that feel like a connection, or a DM where I just get to talk to someone. And for me, I remind myself when those thoughts do creep up, because I'm human. And I can see, even if you're not looking at the insights, you can see, I'm not getting very much engagement on that. But then I remind myself, I had this really great talk in my DMs with Wendy. So, you know, like, mission accomplished. I got to connect with someone today. So those are kind of the boundaries that I've set up for myself to protect my mental health and make sure that I continue to stay really rooted in what social media is for me.
Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, boundaries is like the number one key, knowing like what it is, like, and then having those set boundaries makes all the difference. Christina, do you have anything to contribute for this?
Sure. Hi, I'm Christina. Yeah, I've had a complicated relationship with social media over the years. I feel like I've been on it for so long, like starting back with Facebook. That started when I was in undergrad, like way back in 2005. So, I mean, I've been on forever, and part of me wishes I could just jump off of it completely. But I know that that's not really the way that the world is going. So for me, it's been trying to figure out, like Dana said, what role does it need to play in my life? For me, I use it for business. I have a business account, I have a personal account. And for the business one, I think I started becoming a lot more healthy. The way I was thinking about it when I realized that while I can use it and people do find me on it, I don't have to try to optimize everything. I don't have to, like Dana said, like go in and be checking my insights and worrying about how many followers, because I'm actually happy with the number of clients that I'm getting. So there's like at a certain point where you almost start to get a negative return on your investment with your time. People are finding me. They're finding me because I do SEO. I get good Google searches. I kind of diversify how people are finding me. And the best way is word of mouth locally. So I think once I realized that it actually is functioning the way that I need it to, I don't, you know, when I start to get stressed when I have too many people trying to inquire about sessions, then I start worrying about answering all my emails and all of it, you know. So after a certain point, it almost starts to become a negative. For my personal account, the positive for me was when I started that account and I started seeing my photos all there together on that one, I started to see the little themes that felt like me, and it helped me really refine my vision. And I think that was one of the best things for social media for me on my personal side, is just it's helped me figure out what I love to shoot, how I like to edit, how I can unify all of my images that way. So yeah, and then finally, I think the best thing I've done to help me limit my use is just, I have a time frame, like 10 a.m. to 12. That's when I check my emails. That's when I answer. That's when I check my social. And I think more than anything else, just not constantly checking in all the time has been the best thing for my mental health when it comes to social media. I'm not dependent on like, well, has somebody responded? Do I need to respond? I know like, okay, I can wait until tomorrow to answer any messages and people will be okay. And it's helped me to center and I think get back to having a longer attention span when it comes to other things by not constantly checking in. So yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. I mean, I've tried, limiting my social media time to a couple of hours, but that never works. So what I have started doing is just take complete break. Like I just delete all the apps for like 1 month, and then that. I mean, once I delete the apps, I don't miss those apps at all. It's really funny. But when I have those apps on the phone, I have this mindless scrolling tendency, and then every 10 minutes I just open Instagram and then I answer DMs and all that. I mean, so I need to practice that. I think just limiting yourself to a couple of hours every day, it's wonderful. Julia, I see that you
Yeah,
have
I just
something.
wanted
Yeah.
to answer this. Wendy posted a great question and I wanted
Yeah.
to share it for the full group. I dropped it in chat, but she was asking, how do you hide likes on Instagram? So if anybody wants to explore doing that, you just simply go into your settings and privacy, and then you'll see under the section what you see, you can select hide likes. That will hide likes, hide
Of
what you
others' posts.
correct. It'll
Yeah, of
it'll
others'
hide the
posts,
likes,
yeah.
right? So you won't see how many likes other people are receiving on their posts, and then you'll see an option in there to go into advanced settings, which will allow you to hide likes on your own posts.
Oh, for my own post, I actually hide my likes for every single image. Like as soon as I post my image, I go and hide the like count. I didn't know that there was an option to like blanket hide likes.
Do it both ways, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's
So
good.
it's
Okay.
certainly worth a try and exploring it to see if that
Okay.
is helpful for you.
Chrissy Lamb. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what Dana and Christina were saying. I think it's just so important to accept that your time on social media is going to ebb and flow. If you are really active every 2 weeks, but then you need a 2 week break, take the 2 week break and don't put that guilt on yourself. I think a lot of times we all feel guilty to not go and comment back when people comment on our photos, or to not go like their comments. Like lots of times I'll share a photo and then feel like I haven't even looked through my own feed to go support other members of the community, but I just don't have the mental space right now to do that. But I feel guilty not doing it. So then I find myself not even sharing at all because I just can't just do all of the extra stuff. But I think we need to all know it's okay to just share your own work, and that we're all going to be really active and then not active. Like, it just ebbs and flows. And I think just one other thought is that having those parameters and taking a break is important, because like I found myself sometimes posting an image that I feel really good about, but then if it doesn't get the love that it used to receive, or with the algorithms and everything, then I start to doubt that image and doubt my own
Yeah.
work. And I start to feel like, oh, like maybe that's actually not great. And then I start to just not feel good, so it's like setting up those healthy parameters and taking breaks every now and then, like you said, deleting the app. Like it's just really important, because like just for your own confidence in your work too. Those
Yeah.
are just my thoughts.
Yeah. Dawn? Yes.
On the subject of likes, I just wanted to mention something that I saw a while back. We're all visual people as photographers. Someone had shared, if we think, there's 10 people, 25 people, 100 people, 200 people, it's a numbers game, right? If you just imagine yourself in a room and there are 25 people in the room, and they're all supporting your work, they're all liking your work, they're all loving your work, that's a lot in
Yeah.
person, right? And when I saw that, I thought, that's right. Why would we ever care about having a reach of 1,000 or 100 or even more than that? So if you can just remember that, that has helped me a little bit too.
Yeah, I think it was a meme or something that was shared where they said that imagine like 50 people like liking your post, like, or saying that they like your image directly to you, and then how it would make you feel. So 50 likes is not less, like, just because you get 50 likes. So that actually made me stop and think for a second. Yeah, like, we worry about 50 likes, but still 50 people have liked. So that is something. And then we just, we're not satisfied with that, mainly because we end up comparing. And one other thing I feel is like, just like how we tell with photography, like know your why you're doing photography. I think with social media also, it's good to know why we are posting that. If you're in business, then of course, if you're using it for advertising and getting new clients, then understanding that and working according to that. Or even if you're in business, like Christina said, she mainly uses it just to post and then see how her work looks and all that. Otherwise, for business purposes, she just uses a website and SEO and all that. Then it's fine. If you know that, and if you have that understanding, I think it is really helpful. And if you're a hobbyist and it's a part of your workflow, again, like I think in that case, what has helped me, like I said, is just taking a complete break for 1 month or something. And then it's surprisingly very easy, because you're not dependent on that for anything, like for your income. So it's very easy, and then do it and then come back and post when you feel like posting. So I think knowing why you're doing that and what is the role of social media in your life and in your work is very important as well. Lori, hi.
Hey, I just wanted to add, for those that do use social media for business. I know one thing that's helped me is if you feel like you look at those insights and you look at those things and you take them personally, you can hire, like I have a VA that once a month will go out and look at my insights and then give me feedback, and she's looking at it completely from a statistical standpoint, like she's looking at it and saying, carousels are doing better than single posts, or reels are doing better than this, as opposed to, this picture of my daughter is doing better than this picture of my son. You know what I mean? Or like, she can look at things without that personal veil in front of her and just kind of give me this is where we want to go. This is what's working. This is maybe what we should shift. So, I mean, you could have a VA or even just someone who evaluates that insights. If it's really something that you take to heart, but you still want that from a business standpoint, have somebody else like evaluate that doesn't have the personal emotional attachment that
Yeah,
you
that's
have
a
to
very good point. Yeah.
if that's what you're using, that's what they're there for. And there's lots of people who are good at that can look at things and say, this is a trend, not maybe something about this particular photo that you've done or something that you've attached to it. But in general, this is what the market's looking for, kind of thing. So it's just if it's for a business purpose, don't be afraid to bring in somebody else who can look at that logistically and not with the emotion.
Yeah, that's a
I
very
love
good
it.
tip. Yeah.
And I'm a data
Yeah.
person, so I want all the details. So I can't stop myself from looking at insights if I feel like it's a strategic move that I need to do. So that's what's worked for me. And once a month, she sends me, hey, this is what's working and this is what's not, and let's do this next month, or that kind of thing. So that's a great option if you are wanting to do business but don't want to get that gut
Yeah, I
wrench.
think that's a very smart like business move, like where you have someone with that emotional detachment, and then at the same time who will go through that and give you facts, and then
Yeah, and you
let you know
don't
what to
only
do.
need them to do it once a month, for an
Yeah.
hour. I mean, it's not like you need somebody who you're paying this large sum of money to give you this kind of feedback kind of thing. So
I know. Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you. And so next, I want to touch upon the fact that do you all have a social media standard? Like for me, for example, I shoot several genres. Like I shoot some macro images, I shoot a lot of landscapes and some street images. And so one thing is that I generally tend to share very few of my street images because they're kind of like random, because it's more about stories and it's not about beautiful light. I mean, for my landscapes, I approach my work completely differently. So I have a lot of beautiful sky, dramatic, light and all that. In street images, it's mostly, I mean, based on stories. So it's not light based or anything. So I mean, I don't pay attention to how my feed looks. I've never done that. I know a lot of people like to have their feed look a certain way. I don't do that. But at the same time, when I have a choice of like 5 images to post, and I'm just using one, I always end up with the backlit image, or the golden hour image. So I just feel like without realizing, have the social media standard. Somehow I just post, oh no, street image, no one will like it, no one will get the image, so what's the point of posting? So so do you have anything like that? So how do you get over that? For me, this year I've specifically push myself to post street images. Like yesterday I posted one image, I really liked that image, and then I had like 4-5 people comment, like truly message me and say that, oh, it's a wonderful image, and it made me feel so good. I mean, it did pathetically on Instagram, but that those few image of people's comments really helped me, like understand that when people understand an image, they will truly get it, and then they'll come and talk to you. So that is what matters. So what do you do? I mean, do you have a social media standard? Do you I mean, subconsciously have it, or like you don't have anything like that, you just post whatever image you have? So how do you handle it? Jenny Carr, do you want to say something about this?
I was sitting here and I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't call on me on this one. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't care. It's my grid. It's my life. It's what I'm shooting. It's what I love. And that's kind of how I roll with it. I mostly shoot landscape and nature. And so, I'm not mixing client work in with it. When I was shooting clients, I did mix client work in with it as well. But I think Dana said if people want to be there, they want to be there. So, if somebody doesn't want to see a picture of a macro flower next to a grand landscape, then they'll just choose to leave. So I don't know that that's the best advice, but you do you.
I think that's really nice to hear someone say that, I like the confidence you have in
Oh,
how you
I just fake
approach
that
it.
to make it.
No,
Confidence
I think
isn't
we all
real.
need that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, it's being proud of the work that you create and the effort that you put into it. And even if you feel a little bit of doubt and you question it, if you love something, why not share it?
True. Yeah, very true. Yeah.
There's how many people? There's 40 people on this call right now who probably want to see what you're sharing, and they're gonna like it.
True. Very true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Melissa Bissell, do you have anything to contribute?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I feel like I fall in between both of you in that regard. I feel like I want to post whatever I feel like posting, but then I do look at my grid and see what I've been posting most recently, and I think, well, is this gonna go with what I've been posting? And it's I kind of go back and forth between thinking about what is pleasing to me to look at in my grid, because I do get hang on, something weird just there we go. I do, when I look at my own work in the grid, I like it to flow, and but then I also feel like sometimes there are images that don't flow with everything in my grid, but I still want to post them because they're meaningful to me for some reason. Like most recently, I'm doing a lot of macro. But then if I travel, I'm going to be doing street photography. So then when I get back from that trip, I'm going to want to post my street photography. So then I have to kind of come to terms with myself, which is a little mix of how does it look in my grid going from macro to street photography. And I will think about, okay, the people who are following me, what do they expect to see? Like, I can't help that my brain will go that way. And I feel like I would be being dishonest if I said that I don't think that, because I try not to let that sway me very much, but my brain will still go there. And I do find often when I post differently from what I've recently been posting, I will often have less engagement. And for what reason, I don't know. And do I care? Not really. But there's always like a little nagging thing, just like you were saying, Sharanya, that you can't help. It kind of comes into play.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it affects what I shoot as much as it affects what I post.
Right.
So, I mean, when I'm out somewhere, if I see an interesting scene, I still go ahead and click. And then if it's a good enough image, I end up editing it. It's just the sharing aspect. So I think to that effect, it's good that it's not affecting what I, shoot. But at the same time, yeah, I would ideally like to, I mean, I think mostly I do post whatever I want to post. I'm a typical Cancerian when it comes to that. It all depends on my mood that day, what I'm feeling like. So, but yeah, Melissa Foxman, what do you have to say regarding this?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm 100% in the camp of post what speaks to you. It's your account. They're your photos. It's your art. That said, I think one of my favorite buttons on Instagram is the archive button. I don't know if a lot of you have used that, but I use it to its extreme. I've archived hundreds of posts. I might only currently have right now 40 some posts out there. And that's what works for me. You take something and you feel it in the moment, and then it's like you might enjoy reading a certain genre of book for a while. Maybe you're into detective mysteries, then you want to switch to historical fiction, and I think that shift for me, I like to see that visually. I like to move past where I was at one point. Maybe I'll go back there archive doesn't delete it.
Right.
It's really
Yeah.
nice. Instagram saves it. It saves all the comments. And when you unarchive it, it puts it right back in the same location chronologically where
Yeah.
it originally was. So for me, I really enjoy that I can sort of, recreate and re-experience my grid and what I'm currently feeling.
That's good. So does it affect what you shoot or how you approach your subjects or anything like that, do you think?
I think that naturally shifts for me.
Okay.
Maybe that's how we all are as
Yeah.
creatives. We're drawn to different things over time.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of reacting to where I'm at emotionally as a photographer. And yeah, so it's probably just more of a natural shift.
Okay. Yeah. So is there anyone here who actually like properly curates their grid on the mentor team, like to look a certain way? I think there's no one. So we all post what we want to post when we want to post, which is good, I think. Yeah. And so another thing of social media is being on always, like, with the reels and trending things, like it literally changes like every hour. There's a new thing trending, and then everyone's jumping to, use that music or something. So has that affected anyone here? So for me, I'm not into reels at all. Like, sometimes I shoot some videos, and then when I feel like posting, I post. But I'm totally not into reels. I mean, photography is my thing. I'm very clear about it. So that is so. But I know a lot of people are into reels naturally. Like, they like shooting videos, which is good. But otherwise, how does this, staying on always, like being in the trend, affect you and your handling of social media and your work? And how do you minimize the effect, and how do you handle it? Wendy, I see you have raised your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they don't start working on the bathroom. But so I think for me, it depends on what I'm using Instagram for. And over the years, that has changed because there was a certain amount of time where I was trying to be like more recognized for my work, and maybe I don't want to say influencer, but I was like, working in that whatever it is, try that was like kind of a goal, is that I wanted to be recognized for my work and everything. And then that had a negative impact on my mental health. And then when Reels became a big thing, and it affected how my images were seen in other people's feeds, and the lack of engagement, that forced me to shift my relationship to Instagram to more of what Dana said, which was it's a place to connect with my fellow photographers. And when I started using Instagram in that way, I stopped I do reels every once in a while, but because my ultimate goal is just to connect with y'all, most of what I post are stories. And then kind of talking about what we were talking about with the grid. So when I became Click Pro, one of my like major fears was posting something that wasn't portfolio worthy, and so then I was frozen because I didn't want to post the wrong thing. And then people think, oh, what? How did she make Click Pro? And so it was very difficult to know what to post. And then this year I started posting my 365. Well, not every 365 photo is, portfolio worthy for me. And so I was really struggling with, should I be posting daily? Should I post this image? And it can be very mentally draining when the reality is it is just a medium for me to connect with other photographers. And so when I kind of like let all that stuff go and focus on why, just like Saranya said, why I'm doing it, then I can kind of just, when I feel inspired, post in the feed, or when I feel inspired, post, make a reel. And my reels are usually like a homeschool thing I did with my kids, or, half the time it's not even photography related. But if I can think of something, I do, put it there. So I would say just the change in Instagram and the way that Instagram has changed has forced me to use it in a different way, in my relationship with it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, knowing the why is like the key, I think. Yeah, if you know what you're using the account for, then I think that solves half the problem. And yeah, then some people, I know a lot of photographers who really like to share. I know Alex does a very good job of like sharing her BTS work. Like every time she posts an image, she does a reel for that, which is excellent. It's also a great, like, teaching tool, and people can learn from it. So that's wonderful. But for me, I just can't bother with reels. I mean, I do sometimes take videos, but it's again nature and inspired videos and all that. But I don't bother editing on posting them. So I see Lori has something to say. So does Dana, but probably I'll just go with Lori first and then Dana. Yeah.
Hey, I was just gonna say that I think for me, I only think of Instagram as like my photography group. Like I only follow other photographers and I forget that people in real life, not that you guys aren't my real life, but like
Yeah,
people
I know.
outside of photography, like I was sitting at a birthday party and it was like a skating birthday party. And so I was just sitting there and there was this just dad sitting beside me and he was like just scrolling his phone while the kids were playing. He goes, "Oh, look at you." And it was me doing some reel or lip sync, whatever. And I was just like, yeah, okay. I'm like, thanks, algorithm. This is who you decide to show my reel to. It's this random dad. And who knows, it could have even been that we were sitting at the birthday party, but it was just, it's one of those surreal moments that you forget, like, oh wait, other people can see that, which is why I love Click Community, because it feels like my safe zone of like not random dads at birthday parties are going to see me lip syncing to whatever it is. So it's a balance.
Yeah, I mean, I approach Instagram the same way too. It's my photography space. So I opened an account just to share my photos. So it's always been, I share random things in my stories, but in my feed, it's all just like 100% photography related. I know it gets mundane. I mean, people want to be engaged. I know if you make them involved in your life, you'll probably do well and all that. But then no, I'm very clear with that. Like, I don't want people to get past that boundary and then get in my personal life. So it's just photography related. Yeah, Dana,
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we all can relate to the analysis paralysis when we're like thinking about what to post or what reel to do or any of that. And so, when I'm working with mentoring clients or teaching, I always encourage, photographers to kind of come up with a saying for themselves to whatever will help you kind of let go of the analysis paralysis. And so for me, I always tell myself, if I like it, it's art, and that kind of helps me get out of the analyzing, like, does it go in my feed? I mean, because I like to have a cohesive feed, but also, we think about like, oh, it's not perfectly in focus, or maybe the edit is off or the skin tones aren't right. And sometimes you got to put the kid on the bus and just, post it. And so I have these sayings that I'll say to myself, and it's just a way to get myself out of that kind of mindset where I'll just say, if it's art, or you can say, if I love it, I post it. And that's your like go-to saying to just and it's a way to also back to like being rooted in, you're posting what you love, you're posting your art. So don't try to fit yourself into what you think other people expect of you. If you love it, post it. And then do you mind if I address something that came up in the comments?
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead. Yeah.
So, and other people might have, something to add to this as well, but someone was asking, I don't remember who, Kelly, you were part of that convo, but someone was asking, with marketing, it's sometimes harder to feel like you can let go of something when you feel like you kind of have to continually show up and kind of have yourself seen. And I think it was Kelly who said, it makes sense that if you're seen more, then more clients will see you and maybe book you. And so I added into the chat that I really think it's an important note to make about social media, that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket of Instagram. And I still find myself doing that, where I realized I just took 45 minutes making a reel, editing photos, getting it all set up, getting my hashtags, tagging the right people, and posted it when I've had this email I've been wanting to send to this company for 2 weeks, and I could have, probably sent 2 emails in that 45 minutes. And so asking ourselves, what are we doing, for our career other than posting to Instagram? Are we really is that the most like the best return on my investment of time? And so maybe today I won't post on Instagram and I'll do that email that I really need to do that really will probably be a bigger return on an investment for my business. And then, you know, make sure that you're collecting emails and setting up an email list. And that's another way to make sure all your eggs aren't in one basket. And a way that you can do that is post to stories and say, I created these new, this bundle of 5 presets. You know, if you want them, drop your email and I'll email them to you. And, you know, and not a way to like entrap people to give your email address, or, hey, I've got exciting things coming. I'm so excited to tell you, drop your email if you want to be the first to know. And so that's a way to make sure that you're also kind of dividing your eggs in other baskets so that, you know, you're not so dependent on Instagram. And that helps me to kind of be stubborn, because Instagram's whole job is to get me like addicted and kind of like roped into the machine of Instagram. And so I'm like, no, I'm not, you know, I'm too stubborn for that. I'm going to like find ways to not be on here as much. So those are just the things I wanted to add. Sorry if I got off topic, but someone.
No, that's a very valid point. Actually, I wanted to ask Amy Smith about it too. I know that she had issues with the account with Instagram. Like, so it's a very valid point about not putting all your eggs in one basket. So how do you approach Instagram, Amy? And
well, like you said, I had a hate relationship with Instagram. About 2 years ago, I had 3 accounts under one kind of email blanket. That's how you set up your accounts. You can get multiple, this, that, and the other, and they all disappeared one day. And I struggled and tried to get them back, and to no avail. They were gone. So prior to that, I had always felt the pressure and the urge and the probably not necessarily in a good way to post all the time. It was almost this big cloud over me that I had to post. It wasn't business related. It wasn't generating any kind of income for me whatsoever, but I just had that pressure of I needed to post. And that forced breakdown of my accounts and not having those really was very helpful to me to take that break. And the sun came up the next day and the next day and the next day without Instagram. And it really put it into perspective for me that that is not what brings me validation. That is not what makes me worthy as a photographer. And so I don't know if I answered a question, but it really put it into perspective. And I am terrible about posting now, but I do enjoy the occasional story of what's going on day to day in my life. And then if I feel inclined, I'm in several loops that I'm not super active in, but I will post into those. And I enjoy that. I love being a part of that group. That's kind of what brings me to Instagram, and what keeps me in Instagram is I like being a part of that small cohesive group of like-minded, whatever subject it is, whether it's a floral group or a food group or whatever that happens to be, that I'm part of. And so like I said, I'm super non-active lately, and it's extremely liberating. And it gives me time for so many other things. And I might sit on the couch for an hour with my dogs, or go walk with my dog, or whatever. But that's something I may not have done as frequently or as willingly before, because I felt like I had to schedule this, I had to do this, I had to respond and comment to all these other things. And so not to be Debbie Downer on Instagram, but it's been freeing to allow myself to not be held under, be held ransom, kidnapped by by Instagram.
Yeah, I totally get it. For me, I felt the same when I took my first break. I know I've been saying the same thing again, but yeah, that break really taught me so many things. Until then, I was thinking that, I can't step away from Instagram. I keep posting every day and all that. But then once I deleted the app for 1 month, I didn't even think about it. Only area where I missed it was like I was completely missing out on the community feeling. So, but I still, since we had the forum, so even that was minimized a lot. Like I was very active in the forum, but other than that, I didn't miss it at all. So I think anyone who feels that Instagram has a lot of power on you, I think stepping away from it completely, like closing it for a couple of days or like a week or something, I think you'd understand that it's not as powerful as you think. I know Alex has been wanting to say something for some time. Sorry, Alex, I couldn't get to you until now. Yeah.
Let me say one thing.
Yeah.
That is something that I missed very much so, is the community part of, and the outreach. Because I mean, I live out in the middle of nowhere now, and I don't have a ton of friends that I go doing a lot of things with, but this community, as well as the online community and Instagram or whatever, those are your people. And when you're not part of that, you really realize how big of a part of your life that is, and you miss it.
Yeah.
And so that was a driving force of why I got back into it and started a new account.
Yeah, Alex. Yeah.
I just wanted to add, kind of backpedaling a little bit, like why we do what we do. And for me, I've really had to just kind of take a step back and think, okay, does this give me joy? When I took those pictures, did I find joy? Or did I learn something in the process? Then sure, I'll share it. And, if someone on Instagram doesn't bring me joy, mute them so you don't see them anymore. I've had to do that to people, just because I don't know, or I might think like, oh my gosh, do they think that I'm weird? Or, oh, do they, I just get into my head too much. So, I don't have problem muting people for a little while if I feel like, I'm getting like weird vibes from them or something, but I still want to, support everyone that I can. But, I don't necessarily like try to follow trends or whatever. Like I have like a rinky dink account, and I don't expect to have like gain a ton of followers from my reels, but I take some because, they're fun, or I think other people might learn something from it. Like I love watching other people's behind the scenes stuff and how they shot something, or like, look, I shot this in a tiny little corner of my home. I don't have a huge studio. You can do this too. And because I do teach, it's kind of an avenue where other people that haven't taken a course of mine can kind of see little snippets of, what I can share with, on a much smaller scale. But kind of like what's capable with reels. But, like I said, I don't take Instagram too seriously. It's a fun thing, and it shouldn't have to be a job, and I'm not going to make it a job. I will post things that I think are funny or silly or something dumb that happened to me that day that someone else might, get a kick out of. So I'm kind of self-deprecating, but yeah, I don't know. I think that it can be too much trying to figure out like how cohesive my feed is going to be. And like today, I just shared some client work, and the very first comment, one of the girls was like, oh, I feel weird about posting client stuff. Thank you. Like now I'm going to post my client stuff, so it's just, I don't know. You never know. I guess all I'm trying to say is like, I don't know, just, I never take it too seriously, and it should be fun. Something, find, like I said, if I share a reel, I do it because I think that it could help me, garner more students for courses. And so, I don't know, just figuring out why you're posting what you're posting,
Yeah.
and is it beneficial towards you, not, mentally all of that.
And if it gets too much, we can always step away and then come back to get a more
Yeah.
balanced perspective. So yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't have my I turned off notifications for social media, so like I post in ghost a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you know, I just have come to because before I would like respond to everyone's comments on my images, but it's just not feasible, you know, with everything else that's going on in life. Like I just physically cannot do it. And so, you know, I mean, if like what Dana was saying, if like someone asks a question or seems like genuinely engaged, then like I'll respond or answer a question or something. And like, you know, my DMs, sometimes those will pile up and I'm like, I don't really have the headspace to go through it today. I'll do it, you know. I'll get to it when I can get to it.
I know. Yeah. I do that too. Sometimes I just wait to answer the DMs some other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leah, I see that you have something to say.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off Alex there, actually. I am very protective of my headspace, my mental space. I get overwhelmed easily. And I found Instagram was starting to do that. I had to give up on, I can't thank everyone who comments. It's too much for me. I appreciate every single one, but I just don't have the time or the space to put energy into that. And also before Instagram changed, there like a year ago, something changed where you couldn't just like, now you can't just scroll nicely and like see all the pretty pictures that you want to see. That just completely overwhelmed me, and I had to really pull Instagram in for me. And the way I've made it kind of work for me is to just have some groups. I have just a few chats with specific photographers. This is how I keep my connections. The best part of Instagram is I have a few specific groups. I've gathered some friends I've connected with, and I only go to their photos, and they are who I connect with. And that's how I keep it a small space for myself, and rather to get overwhelmed with all that Instagram wants me to do and live on the program. Instead, I purposely connect with those friends that I've made. And I also know that I haven't posted for like 2 weeks because it's the end of the school year. You know how that is. And I know they're not going to be mad at me for that. And while the algorithm or the like greater Instagram space might fault me for not posting for a while, whatever, I don't care. In the end, for me, it's just about those connections and having all these other photographer friends. And I'm actually really thankful for Instagram and the forum and all these internet spaces for creating that.
And I think, I mean, having our own specific community and then being able to reach them when we want is a really good positive. And then, of course, we have our Click community forums, like anytime we want to share something, like any image that we are proud of, we want to share and then not worry about likes or anything. I think this is the best place for me. When I have a set of images, because on Instagram, like I can only post one. I don't feel like posting. For example, I click some person images. I cannot post like 20 person images on Instagram back to back. So, but I could do that with my forum, and then I was really happy to do that. So yeah, I think we all should post more in the forum, where it doesn't matter what genre it is. You know, if it's kids images or macro or landscape or street, and it just gets noticed by people who understand those images and then really appreciate it. So I think that's also very important. Overall, I think we all, what I understood after this 1 hour chat is that we all have a very positive attitude about it, I think. With all the reels and all that, it is easy to get distracted, but always remember the why, why you're shooting and why you're posting. So when you know the answer to that and stick to it, I think Instagram will continue. Instagram and other social media will be a positive platform for us. Yeah. So anyone else wants to add anything? I think we are almost like we are over
Yeah,
1 hour of time. Yeah.
I think good. This is a great point, spot to wrap up. I want to thank you, Saranya, for leading this great conversation, and thank everybody for joining us. As I said at the beginning of the call, this was recorded, so if you joined late or just want to rewatch, it will be posted to the forum within the next 24 hours. And we would love to continue the discussion over there. And I will include some resources when I do post that link so that we can keep talking about this and keep making the best out of our time on social media.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Thank
much,
you. It was
everyone.
a joy. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.